Chidera, a young, handsome, well-to-do businessman from Amiri village, came back from the city to find a wife. Ever since Chidera was a child, he had always wished for the day he would marry a woman from his village, and that time had finally come. Before he left the city, he made sure to put everything in place because he planned to stay longer than usual. He settled into his family's house, with his father and mother sitting across from him as he told them of his intentions. Thank the gods, I thought you would never get married. All your brothers after you have settled down, only you remain, his mother said happily. My son, you have made a good decision. A man should never rush into marriage when he is not ready. Do you have anyone in mind, or you want us to recommend the best girls for you? His father asked with a smile. No, Papa, I don't have anyone in mind, and I don't want any recommendations. I will find my missing rib myself, he said, as they all laughed heartily. So far, Chidera was enjoying his day in the village. The calm breeze and clean air were different from what he was used to in the city, and the delicious homemade food his mother made always brightened his days. He often called to check on his business in the city, and later he would walk around the village, visiting his friends and father's friends. One day, while visiting one of his friends, he saw two women sitting in a corner breaking kernels used for making palm kernel oil. He knew one of them was his friend's sister, but the other woman was unfamiliar. He couldn't stop staring at her. The way she talked and raised her head as she laughed was so enchanting. Close your mouth before fly poops in it, his friend said from behind him. Was I that obvious? Chidera asked, smiling nervously. You were, his friend replied, laughing. But that's normal for some of us. They both stared at her in silence for a while. Then his friend, Chuka, said, Her name is Amogi. She is one of the most beautiful maidens in our village, and went on to tell Chidera more about her. Chidera was captivated. In his heart, he knew he had met his true love. His search had ended, and he was determined to pursue her. Amoge's eyes lifted from the ground, and she immediately met Chidera's gaze. They locked eyes for a few seconds that felt like minutes before Amoge shyly looked away, blushing as she bowed her head. Chidera smiled. He knew he had her attention. He was a handsome man, and back in the city, women admired him, but he wanted a woman from his village, just as he had always dreamed. Chidera wanted a moment alone with Amoge, so he waited. After about 2 hours, Amoge finished what she was helping her friend with. She bade them farewell, and Chidera followed behind her. Hey, pretty, he called, and she blushed again. I understand your name is Amoge, and I must say you look so beautiful, he said, as she thanked him softly. They walked in silence for a few minutes before Amoge spoke. You know, you're not the first man to say sweet things to me, but I must tell you, I don't want games. I don't want to be played. I have kept myself only for my husband, and only with my husband will I share my bed. I believe it is an honor to a man if a woman preserves herself for him. Chidera was mesmerized. He felt like he had hit the jackpot. Everything she said aligned perfectly with what he believed as a man. As she turned the corner, she glanced back at him. I am not here to play games, Amoge, Chidera said. I came back because I wanted a wife. I don't have anyone, but when I saw you, I felt we would make a good couple. Don't you think? He teased. I won't say anything yet, she smiled. You will have to prove to me that you are a kind and responsible man. I am as open as a book, Amogi, and I will prove myself to you, he promised. In the following days, Chidera and Amogi spent more time together. They talked about their dreams, their future, family, education, business, and so much more. Since Amoge only finished secondary school, Chidera promised to send her to university after their marriage. 3 months had passed, and it was time for Chidera to return to the city. He needed to check on his business, but promised to come back within a few weeks. Amoge would call him using the village public phone, and they spoke for a few minutes each day. During this time of constant communication and honesty, their love grew stronger. Many men in the village wished to be in Chidera's shoe. Amogi was the kind of woman most men dreamed of. Calm, feminine and soft. Her voice was like music. It wasn't every day one met a girl like her, especially in the village and from a humble household. When Chidera returned from the city, he was determined to marry her before leaving again. That same week he returned, he went to Amogi's father's house to do the introductions. And 2 weeks later, they got married. It was such a big event and became the talk of the village for weeks. Amogi's siblings were so happy to have an in-law like Chidera. Her parents advised their daughter to be a good wife and mother to her future children. Prayers were said and Amogi left to her husband's house. Chidera had already made plans for them to go on honeymoon in Calabar. They spent 1 week there before leaving for Abuja, where Chidera ran his business. He lived in a nice neighborhood, and sometimes Amogi found it surprising that he truly loved her even though she came from a poor background. Chidera was caring and loving. He would take her out during weekends and always made sure she communicated her feelings whenever they had disagreement. Their union was admirable and their connection was magical. Two young, attractive people starting life together. Everyone already knew their children would be beautiful like them. Soon, Chidera registered Amogi at the University of Abuja. He took her shopping, bought her new clothes, shoes, perfumes, and even a new MacBook to make her comfortable among her peers. He didn't want her to lack anything. Amogi was so happy that she peppered his face with kisses, her face glowing with gratitude. She started university life like a big girl. Chidera's driver would take her to school and pick her up after classes. Things were going well and she was gradually absorbing her lectures. Life wasn't easy, but Chidera was a supportive husband. He cooked when he could and ordered food when they were both too busy. Then slowly the signs started to show. At first, they were subtle. Amogi no longer wore her wedding ring to school, and she often put on a face full of makeup before leaving each day. Chidera liked it when she dressed up. Soon, she began staying longer at school, giving new excuses each day. It was becoming something else. Some days, she didn't come home, saying she had an overnight lecture or study session with a friend. Not long after, she started begging Chidera to let her move to the school hostel, and he wondered why. I have a driver who is at your beck and call, and our house is good enough. What else do you want? He asked. I want to be close to my mate. Is it too much to ask? She barked. Since when do we start shouting at each other? I'm talking to you calmly, and you are suddenly raising your voice. Is there something you are not telling me? Something like what? She said, as though challenging him. From then on, she began giving him the silent treatment. She wouldn't let him touch her, and even started sleeping in the guest room. Everything felt like a movie to Chidera. He tried talking, but nothing changed, so he stopped. One day, Amogi came back from school and told him she wanted to talk. He sat down quietly and she said, I want us to open our marriage. Chidera looked at her as though she had gone mad. He raised his brow, thinking he hadn't heard her right. I said, I want an open marriage, she repeated louder this time. Who is deceiving you, Amogi? Are all the compliments you are getting making you feel like you are Queen Elizabeth? So now you are too beautiful to stay faithful in our marriage, and you want to open our marriage? Before he could finish, she said yes. Okay, he replied quietly. Have fun, he added as he stood up. A new lecturer had just joined the school not too long ago, and he was unlike any other lecturer there. He was a young white man named Anthony from Germany. He was very handsome, and one day, when Amogi went to his office to submit her assignment, he held her hand and looked deeply into her eyes. Her heart beat fast as he leaned in for a kiss. It lasted only a few seconds before a knock came on the door. She quickly pulled away, disgusted with herself. During classes, he would stare at her multiple times before the lecture ended. Anthony was a man many young girls in the school wanted to be close to. When the semester ended, Amogi got an A in his course, even though she knew she didn't really deserve it. She had written well, but not that well. He smiled and winked at her often, and even gave her extra marks during her test. Her friends were jealous. She was doing well, and they too wanted A's. One day, he sent for her, and as soon as she entered his office, he held her. He was about to kiss her again, but she told him she was married. In his husky voice, he said, "And so, we are just having fun. Many people do it. You are a very beautiful young woman, and I am really attracted to you. If you weren't married, I would have married you, Amogi." They stared at each other as he dipped his head and kissed her. Then they made love in his office. At first, she felt guilt, but as they continued, the guilt faded. The sneaking around was fun for them, and one day, Anthony wanted her to spend more time with him, so he told her to ask her husband for an open marriage. She didn't want to. She was enjoying the sneaking and taking, but he insisted that he needed to spend more time with her and was willing to take their relationship to the next level. She agreed. By now, she had already fallen in love with Anthony, and she believed he loved her too. Chidera kept his distance from her. He made his meals, slept, and behaved like he was unbothered. Amogi wouldn't come home for days, and she wasn't even asking him for money like she used to. Anthony was covering her expenses. It continued like that for about a year. Chidera woke up one morning to find breakfast on the dining table. He knew exactly who had made it. He was about to walk outside when Amogi ran towards him and said, "Come, I made your favorite." He turned and looked at her, about to leave, but she held his hand, making puppy eyes. If it were in other times, Chidera's heart would have melted when she did that, but it didn't. "It has been over a year since you made me anything at all. So why now?" he asked. "Because I want to be the perfect wife to you. I'm sorry, I want us to close our marriage and work on this. You know, before we got married, my frontal lobe had not developed, and I read somewhere that when a woman marries before it develops, she tends to do strange things. Please forgive me, I have changed, and I have come back to my right senses." Chidera laughed so hard. "You know, I wasn't going to say anything. I was willing to wait for you, as long as you wanted to have fun. I married you, but after you met someone else, you turned 180 degrees. You changed. You asked for our marriage to be opened, and I wanted to see how long you could play this game. I am not an insecure man. I know how many women I work with who want me, but I still stuck with you. I knew there was nothing I could say that would change your mind, for it was made up. The day you asked for an open marriage was the day our marriage ended. Now that you are tired of this game you started, go inside, pack your bags, and go to your father's house. I will send my people to collect the bride price." By now, Amogi was already crying and pleading, but Chidera wouldn't listen. She didn't listen to him then, so why would he listen to her now? Before she came to Chidera, she had learned that Anthony had returned back to Germany. He had only come to their school for a teaching project, and it was over. He had left without saying goodbye. He had promised to marry her and take her to Germany. He had told her that when he was ready, he would tell her to divorce her husband, but now the joke was on her. When she got to the village, she couldn't speak at first. After hours, she explained everything to her mother, who fell to the floor crying. Her marriage had failed, and she didn't even finish her schooling, all because she let her control sleep. She hadn't disciplined herself enough to withstand temptation, because temptations will always come. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you in our next one. Bye.